Wednesday. Even though Mum didn't seem to enjoy herself on game night, the rest of us did. So this morning we asked her what she had in store for us next. But I guess Mum needed to take a break from making plans for the family. And she said everybody was on their own today. But I was pretty excited to have a day to myself. But I wasn't sure what to do. There was no chance I was going to the beach, so I decided I'd explore the town on my own. Mum told me she was going to stay back at the house and that I could take her phone as long as I was careful with it. I knew it was a big deal for Mum to trust me with her phone, so I promised I wouldn't let anything happen to it. It was a really hot and sticky day, and walking outside was like stepping into a sauna. So by the time I got to the boardwalk, my clothes were already soaked with sweat. Wednesday. Even though Mum didn't seem to enjoy herself on game night, the rest of us did. So this morning we asked her what she had in store with us next. I guess Mum needed to take a break from making plans for the family, and she said everybody was on their own today. I was pretty excited to have a day to myself, but I wasn't sure what to do. There was no chance I was going to the beach, so I decided I'd explore the town on my own. But I was a little nervous about getting lost since I didn't really know my way around. Mum told me she was going to stay back at the house and that I could take her phone as long as I was careful with it. I knew it was a big deal for Mum to trust me with her phone, so I promised I wouldn't let anything happen to it. It was a really hot and sticky day, and walking outside was like stepping into a sauna. But by the time I got to the boardwalk, my clothes were already soaked with sweat. It was too hot to stay outdoors, and honestly, I was looking for a way to avoid that anyway. On top of spaghetti, all covered with cheese. I don't want to see that guy. I went into a few stores that had air conditioning, but it was pretty obvious that the employees who work at those places don't like it when people come inside just to cool down. And even though I pretended to be shopping, they weren't buying it. Does this top have a matching bottom? I tried to find someplace cool where I didn't need to spend any money, and I knew I'd found my spot when I stumbled across a library into the center of town. Rutty Neck Public Library. Today, Author Talk, 1 p.m. I was a little nervous the people who worked there might ask me to leave, so when I sat in on Author's book talk, I made sure everyone knew I was paying attention. Me more pow, re-energizing after 55. Question! I wish I had remembered to put Mum's phone on silent mode though, because it started dinging non-stop while the author was speaking, so I had to duck out into the hallway to see why I was getting so many alerts. I was a little worried there was some kind of emergency and people were trying to reach me, but it was just my aunt sending text on the family group chat. Could someone get me an iced coffee if you're out and about? And you never paid me back for the one when I got you last time. That was 2 years ago, Gretchen. I've always wondered what kinds of things the grown-ups in my family talk about on that thread. But when I started scrolling through the old messages, I could see it was a bunch of nonsense. Does anyone know how to get a french fry out of the space next to your car seat? Wait, you were eating fast food in your car? Yes, Susan. Please don't judge me. I thought your doctor said you needed to start eating healthier. I don't think a few french fries are going to kill me. Maybe you should leave the one you dropped. Every so often someone would post something serious, like a medical question, and I really wish I hadn't gone looking through those old texts, because I saw some stuff on there I sure would like to scrub from my brain. Does the mole on the back of my neck looking look like it's changing? I would have that checked out if I were you. But mostly the family group chat was just corny jokes and other stuff grown-ups must find funny. I feel bad for Vincent because he's always asking to be added to the group chat, but he's not allowed since he's not a member of the family. Now that I've actually seen the stuff people are posting though, I can promise him he's not missing out on anything. Monday hair, don't care. Haha, can I see? Sorry family, only. Besides, once you get on the family group chat, you can never get off. Noah and Aunt Veronica broke up a couple of years ago, but he's still a part of the family thread. And I'm pretty sure the only reason he's still on it is because nobody can figure out how to remove him. So Noah's still getting updates on all the family news, even though it's still clear that he wishes he wasn't. I met someone new. Our first date is tonight. Congratulations, Veronica. Please take me off this chat. Even the dog is on the family chat, and I can't tell if she writes her own texts or if someone does it for her. I split my shorts trying to bend over and tie my shoes. What then? I was thinking about how awesome it would be to become a social media star like Dazzle and have a whole team of people working for me. Then I realized I finally had a way to make that happen because now I had a phone. I started dreaming up ways I could start posting stuff and get a ton of people to follow me. But these days, everybody's posting stuff online and it's hard to stand out from the crowd. At first I thought maybe I should just dream myself reviewing video games, but there are already 1 million people who do that kind of thing. I decided that if I wanted to make a splash, I was gonna have to come up with something no one else was doing. But you've gotta be creative if you're gonna carve out your own space. Figured it would be smart to do product reviews so companies would send me free stuff, and I couldn't remember ever hearing about anyone who reviews pillows before. Exceptional huggability, ideal for side sleepers. Plus, if I became a pillow influencer, I could literally make money in my sleep. But I knew I wouldn't have my mum's phone for long, so I needed to come up with an idea where I could get a bunch of followers quick. And that's when it hit me. There are 1 million ice cream shops on the island, so I could be a guy who samples all the different flavors and posts reviews online. But there are lots of people who do that sort of thing, so I needed a gimmick to put me over the top. And when I finally landed on my idea, I knew it was a winner. One lick ice cream reviews. I realized that no one would want to watch a video of someone eating an entire ice cream cone, so I based my whole review on a single lick. Now that I had a plan, I just needed to get started. So I went into an ice cream shop that was 2 doors down from the library. I told them I was going to need few coins to review for my channel. But the guy working there didn't seem to understand that social media influencers get free stuff, because he said if I wanted any ice cream, I was going to have to pay for it. And even after I explained that his store was about to miss out on some free publicity, he wouldn't budge. So I walked out and went to another ice cream shop a block away, but they had the same response, and I was starting to wonder if these people understood anything about social media. Finally found a place that was willing to give me a free sample on a tiny spoon. And even though I knew that wasn't going to look as good on camera, I figured I had to start somewhere. A perfect blend of salty and savory with oaky notes and a pleasant aftertaste that will stir up memories of long summer evenings sitting on the front porch with your best friend. I posted my review then waited to see what kind of response it got from people online. But while I was waiting, I started worrying that maybe I wasn't thinking big enough with one lick ice cream reviews idea. I realized that there are only so many flavors of ice cream out there, and eventually I was going to run out of types to review. So I decided if I wanted my channel to grow, I was going to have to branch out with the sort of thing I liked. But that thing was a problem for another day, because right now my follower count wasn't where it needed to be. One lick ice cream reviews, 0 followers. But what I wanted was some celebrity follow my account, because then all their fans would follow me. But I knew that there was gonna be tough, because I don't really have any connections like that. That's when I remember that I do know someone who's famous, and even though it's a dog, it still counts. Dazzle, 3.8 million followers. I thought about asking Aunt Veronica if she could get Dazzle to post something about one lick ice cream reviews on her channel. But then I remembered that social media influencers get paid to do that kind of thing, and I probably couldn't afford whatever she charges. But when I realized I had something even better, and if it couldn't cost me a dime, I found a picture of Mum's camera roll and cropped it out. Then I swapped it as my new profile picture. I didn't get the chance to see if the picture made a difference, though, because I wasn't looking where I was walking and ended up wandering somebody's front yard. And I guess the people who live on the island year-round don't like it when vacationers trespass on their property. Whoosh! Getting blasted with a hose wasn't all bad, because after a day out in the heat, it was nice to finally cool off. But I learnt a valuable lesson, which is that water and electronics don't mix. Thursday, when I handed Mum her phone last night, the first thing she did was put it in a bag of rice. She said rice absorbs water, and it was the only hope of getting the phone working again. Even though I thought that sounded like a weird thing to do, I was glad she wasn't too mad I got her phone wet. I think the reason Mum was willing to let it slide today was because she was so busy trying to get everybody ready for the family photo. There was supposed to be a pretty sunset, and she wanted to make sure everyone was showered and looking nice for when we went down to the beach after dinner. The problem was that nobody remembered to pack a full set of white clothes, which Grandma asked everyone to wear for the family beach photo. But the stores were closing soon, and there wasn't enough time to go shopping and make dinner. So Aunt Gretchen came up with an idea. She said the adults could go clothes shopping while the kids made dinner. That sounded like a terrible idea to me, but for some reason all the grown-ups seemed to think we could handle it. Once the adults were out of the door, us kids were on our own. First thing we did was open the fridge to see what we had to work with. I figured we could just reheat some spaghetti and call it a day, but Uncle Gary had eaten all the leftovers. So we decided to make something new with the stuff that was in the fridge. And the only problem was that there aren't a lot of meals you can make out of mayonnaise, salad dressing and maple syrup. But that didn't seem to be a problem for the twins, though, because they were already off and running. They found some more food in the pantry and started mixing all the ingredients in a ceramic bowl. And if I hadn't kept an eye on them, Mum's phone would have ended up in a part of their recipe. I don't think Roger liked the look of what the twins were cooking up, because he found a frozen pizza in the freezer and put it in the oven. Manny was doing his own thing too. I guess he was in the mood for breakfast, because he started cooking up some pancakes, eggs and bacon, but he is making a giant mess by cooking everything directly on the electric stovetop. Speaking of messes, Malcolm and Malvin had gotten their hand on the electric mixer, which they totally lost control of. What? What are they doing? Roderick accidentally turned the knob on the oven to self-clean instead of bake. So now the oven was heating up to 900 degrees. It turns out that once this self-cleaning cycle starts, you can't stop it. So Roderick's frozen pizza was getting incinerated inside the oven, and there was nothing we could do about it. God! Roderick was worried we were going to set off the smoke alarm, so he climbed up on a counter and fanned the fumes away from the detector. And even though we managed to keep this from turning into something worse, I have a feeling that the grown-ups will think twice before putting kids in charge of the kitchen ever again. One good thing came of the disaster though. Since we used up all our food, Mum said our only choice was to go out to eat, and I've been waiting to hear those words since we've got here. What? Finally, we can go out to eat. Of course, nothing's ever easy in my family, and people immediately started arguing over where we should go to dinner. Aunt Kiki was hoping to go to a seafood restaurant, but when Mum told everyone how a school of fish gobbling up people's throat on our ferry ride over, everybody suddenly lost their appetite for seafood. Blech! Roderick wanted to go to a restaurant called Jerks, where the waiters are mean to the customers, but nobody seemed wild about that idea. What? Aunt Veronica pushed for going to a pet-friendly place where Dazzle could eat. My family accidentally went to a place like that once. It was no fun dealing with all the begging. It turns out we were wasting our time debating where to go because every restaurant was totally booked except one, and that was a chain restaurant called Palazzo Pomodoro, whose commercials are always on TV, just like Mama used to make Palazzo Pomodoro. I was kind of excited to try it out, and so were the guys in the family, but Mom and her sisters were against it because apparently Grandma hates Palazzo Pomodoro. Mom said that whenever a commercial for that restaurant comes on TV, Grandma complains that they use cheap ingredients and they don't know anything about authentic home-cooked food. Grandma even made Mom and her sisters promise never to eat there. But the rest of us were starving, and we didn't really have any other options to eat, so Mom and her sisters agreed to go to Palazzo Pomodoro. So as long as we all promised never to tell Grandma. The plan was to take our family picture right after dinner, so everyone got dressed in our new white clothes. And I have to say it was a little embarrassing walking down the boardwalk looking like some boy band. Even though Mum made a reservation on the phone ahead of time, the hostess said she couldn't find our names in the system. Then she told us we could wait for a table to open up, but that could take an hour or more. So we sat in the lobby and tried to figure out what we should do. Mum was stressed because time was ticking away, and if we didn't eat soon, we wouldn't make it to the beach for the sunset. And if we tried to eat after we took our picture, we'd never find a place that could take us. Then Mum overheard the hostess talking to the manager about a large party who was half-hour late for their reservation. That Aunt Kiki an idea. The next thing I knew, Vincent was telling the hostess he was in a group that hadn't shown up, but I got the sense he was super comfortable doing it. I felt weird pretending to be a different family, but we couldn't let the reservation go to waste. So we all tried our best to get over it and just enjoy the experience. After we had a few minutes to look over the menu, we placed our orders. Even though a restaurant like this is known for its pasta, I decided to go with the steak, and the only person to order spaghetti was Vincent, who was excited to finally have his very own meatballs. The waiter came round with the breadsticks, but this time I wasn't going to fill up before the main course arrived. But somebody should have warned Dazzle about that, because she was making a rookie mistake. Choo choo. Everybody was in a good mood, and for the first time I can remember, conversation was flowing, and I think maybe Aunt Cakey was having the most fun out of anyone. She told Mum she was ready to forgive her for stealing her boyfriend all those years ago, and even though Mum seemed happy Aunt Cakey had turned a corner, she could tell she wasn't thrilled her sisters were bringing up the topic again. Then Uncle Gary said something I'll never forget as long as I live. Did your dad ever tell you he dated your Aunt Cakey? What? All this time I never put together that Aunt Cakey's ex-boyfriend was Dad, and the only person who took it harder than me was Roderick, who had just taken a swig of iced tea. Uncle Gary wasn't finished though. He told everyone in the story of how Aunt Cakey met Dad when he was a lifeguard at Ratty Neck Island, and how they fell for each other. But then Aunt Cakey introduced Dad to the rest of her family, like Mum liked him too. I guess Dad liked Mum better than Aunt Cakey, so then things got complicated. The two sisters fought over Dad, and Grandma had to step in and break it up. Grandma could see that Mum and Dad were crazy about each other, so she decided they should be a couple. But to make things fair, Grandma told Mum she'd never give Aunt Cakey her favourite sunglasses and a stuffed animal she'd won on the boardwalk. And if you ever think it would be cool if your family is hiding some big juicy secret, all I can say is be careful what you wish for. Uncle Gary delivered his bombshell. Nobody was really in the mood for conversation, so when our meal arrived, we ate in silence. The only grown-up who didn't seem to know that Dad and Aunt Cakey had been a couple was Vincent, who seemed to have suddenly lost his appetite. Aunt Veronica helped herself to one of Vincent's meatballs, and then she took a bite. You could tell something wasn't. What?